Hey, Chris.
What's up there, Ike?
You're becoming a regular here.
I know, I'm very honored. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Loose Lips. I'm Ike, and this is Chris Williams. He's filling in today. Chris has been amazing the last 5 years, joining me for our podcast with our guest Adam Matera, who's been
Yes,
on what, 12 times.
recurring guest, yes.
Yes, and Chris, you have something coming up, and you didn't want to share it last time, so I think you got to share it this time.
I do. It's confirmed now. I'll be singing in my friend's show. His name is John Ziza, and he does an annual Christmas show at the Green Room 42 in New York City. And I have written an original Christmas song that I'm debuting during the show. So looking forward to that. And yeah, and then you have something on the same date.
Same
So
date.
I'm going to try to somehow foil with your show so it doesn't compete.
Well, wait a minute now. What you're on? What 42nd Street is it?
I'm not telling you.
You mean when I call up and say there's a fire?
Or a bomb threat?
I would never do that, Chris. It's the holidays. I'd wrap it in a nice fruitcake, the bomb.
So where is your show? Tell us about your show.
My show is at the Copacabana. It's going to be December 6th at 8 p.m. Big holiday show called 50 Shades of Gay takes on the holidays. Supersized cast. I can't even mention the names that we have in it now because we will run out of time. Sue's GX Designs is creating some awesome costumes for me. Vivian Darling's creating my opening number. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it always is, obviously. And I'm going to be very sad that I'm missing it because I usually go with a bunch of friends and we have a great time. So yeah. I know everyone who goes is going to just love it. So good luck with that.
And I'm premiering my holiday EP.
That's right.
Which I will tell everybody now. The title is called A Christmas Hoe.
So it's autobiographical?
Yeah. It's not a traditional holiday album. It's more comedy, and I'm hoping it does well.
It will do well. You debuted one of the songs last year, and I remember it went over very well, and everyone's looking forward to it. So
yeah, we had a blast. We had a blast. So let's get the show moving. The show today is sponsored by Uberlube, our best friends in the whole wide world. You can visit uberlube.com for all their fabulous products. They have travel size. They have glass bottles that are nightstand friendly, and very grateful that they have been supporting just not Loose Lips, but 50 Shades of Gay too. And if you need advice from Dr. Tim or Dr. Ike, hit us up with a DM at Loose Lips, the podcast on Facebook, or an email at ikeavellievents@hotmail.com. Chris, let's get this ball going.
Let's go. We're very excited. Our returning guest today is an acclaimed musician, songwriter, and producer whose work has shaped the sounds of legends. Michael has written and produced some of the biggest names in the industry, including Celine Dion, Gloria Estefan, Kylie Minogue, and Sheena Easton, among many others.
Fans will be excited to know that his unreleased tracks recorded in the late 80s are featured on the latest Sheena Easton Box Set. Beyond music, Michael has made a lasting impact in film, television, and since his last visit with us, he has earned the prestigious Hollywood Music and Media Award for Best Original Song.
Wow, there you go.
Please welcome Michael J.
Hi.
Michael.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
Nice to meet you, Chris. Hi, Ikes. Good to see you again.
It's so great to see you. It's been so long, and we haven't aged a bit, have we, Michael?
Not a bit.
Knock on wood, right? So, Michael, last time you were here, we discussed your amazing career and everything that you know involved in it. And I figured maybe we could just touch base a little bit in your early stages of your career when you first got your break getting into Curtis Mayfield's custom records. If you want to touch base on that again, that would be great. Chris would love to hear that, and I'm sure a few people out there too.
Well, yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago.
Yep.
And my father was a prominent lawyer in downtown Chicago, and he knew at an early age that I wanted to get into the music business, but he didn't really have any connections in the music business. And most of the record companies were headquartered in New York or LA. But Curtis Mayfield is from Chicago, and his record company was headquartered in Chicago. And my father, at some point in time, ended up doing some legal work for the record company there regarding some film project that they were doing. And so he talked them into giving me like a job.
Yeah.
Wow.
No
And
problem.
I still to this day I'll never know how he did it, but I was maybe 17 or 18 years old, and I got an A&R position at Curtom Records, working for Curtis Mayfield and his whole company. And
Wow.
it was a great experience. Learned a lot. Got to sit in on some recording sessions that Curtis was producing, and just kind of that really opened my eyes. Like, oh my God, this is how records are made. This is fun. I just knew right then that this was the life I wanted, which kind of backfired on my dad because he was hoping I would end up becoming a lawyer and take over his firm.
Well, you showed him. Oh my God. So outside of the Curtis Mayfield, like everything seemed to have just, I don't want to say fallen into place because you obviously worked hard to get where you are. But right after that, or shortly after, weren't you signed to do a song for a soundtrack, correct?
Well, yeah. After I spent 2 years with Curtom Records in Chicago, and it was the late '70s. It was the embarrassing disco period,
Mm.
where if you were an artist who did R&B music, you had to do a disco album. Which, anybody who loves Curtis Mayfield probably knows that he did that one disco album, which was kind of embarrassing. But every artist had to do a disco album.
Yeah.
That it
And
was just
most of them are embarrassing.
yeah. And it was just a bad period, full stop. And eventually that company started to downsize and change, and they didn't need me anymore. So I was ready to move to Los Angeles at this point, where all the action was in the early '80s in the music business. It was really LA.
Yeah.
So I moved there really without having very many contacts. I just figured I'd get there and I'd find my way around. And eventually I got an internship, which is an unpaid position, a gopher, for the record producer Jay Graydon, who did Al Jarreau and Manhattan Transfer and
Sure.
tons of stuff.
Mhm.
And so I got to work with him, hang out with him in his studio and everything, and meet all
What a character too.
yeah. It was another great learning experience,
Yeah.
and all the people that I met through Jay, his friends, people like David Foster and stuff like that, and eventually that led to me becoming a songwriter. I just dabbled in it in the beginning. I wanted to try and write some lyrics and some songs and whatever, and at some point I met Alan Molina, who was the vice president of Famous Music, and that was the music publishing division of Paramount Pictures. And he was looking at me because he needed to get songs to Jay Graydon for Jay's project. So, Alan took me to lunch and he wanted to play me a bunch of songs. And I said, by the way, I write songs too. Would you like to hear some?
Yes.
And so I played him a couple things, and he was like, yeah, they're pretty good. You want to have a publisher? And I'm like, sure, I'd love to have a publisher. So he signed me. I didn't really have any credits at the time, so it was a very low risk deal for them. They didn't pay me a lot of money. But within the first 4 months of the deal, all the songwriters who were signed to that publishing company got first crack at any of the movies being made at Paramount at the time because they already owned our publishing.
Right.
We were under contract. So I was told to go to the lot one day and check out some of the dailies of a film that was in production called Top Gun. And it was I think it was like Tom Cruise's second or third movie. He wasn't a big name. There were really no big names in this movie. And I was going to see dailies of a film that was still in production. So the special effects weren't added. The sound effects weren't added. And I'm watching clips of planes flying around without the sound.
And
I'm
you're like, this is a piece of garbage.
this is never going to go anywhere. This is the worst stuff I ever saw. But, I wanted to be a team player. So they said, we need music in this scene. We need a song in this scene. We need this and that. And so I went home and I wrote them a song based on their the specific asks that they wanted. And that turned out to be the song Hot Summer Nights that Gloria Estefan performs on the soundtrack.
Wow. Wow.
So like, it was the first movie I ever did, and it turned out to be Top Gun.
That's crazy. I mean, when you look back at that, the beginnings, like what you're describing, obviously you have talent, right? A natural born talent, because you weren't formally, you didn't go to school to learn how to produce. You didn't go to school to learn how to write. It kind of just was naturally there. But also these breaks, it's almost like you look back and you say it was something guided you into this field and it was meant to be.
Yeah, I never knew where I was going to end up. When I was in college, I was the music director of our college radio station.
Wow.
So I thought I was going to end up in broadcasting at one point and working in radio. But what I found I liked most about doing that job was, getting new albums, new releases, and being able to identify what the hit singles were going to be off that album, and getting them played on college radio before the rest of the world heard them. And that was always fun. So I guess I always had a sense of what a commercial hit was.
Yeah, I'll say, because I have to say, I'm not ashamed that I grew up in, the 80s listening to the music, and some of my favorite albums, I said albums, but were Michael J.
Oh,
5-star. Well, Regina, not Regina. Oh God, Alicia.
Alicia.
That was 90, I think, when that came out. Bounce Back, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
oh my God, I would play it from beginning to end nonstop. And 5-star today, they're still going strong.
Yeah.
They're performing the songs that you wrote. It's
And
incredible.
The Slightest Touch has had a life.
I
Like you would, I mean, it was a top 10 hit again a couple years ago by Steps.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I
Right.
remember you were on discussing that, because at that time I think it was number one in the UK as well, right?
It was in the UK, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how does it build? Like you get this break, you're on this Top Gun soundtrack, but then how do you build and start to get your songs out to these artists?
Well, it certainly became easier after I had the Top Gun soundtrack.
Right.
Well, I still had my publisher. I was Famous Music was my publisher, and song publishers at that time, I don't know about today, but at that time they acted like agents for songwriters. That was their job. They were supposed to take our songs and shop them around and try to find the artists who were going to record them. That was really their position in a songwriter's life.
Right.
So I just kept writing songs and demoing songs, and it was through Famous Music that I got connected to 5-star, because I didn't know who they were. They were a UK band. So Alan Molina was somehow the president of Famous Music. He was connected to 5-star and the A&R people, and all, he knew that whole project very well, and he knew which songs of mine would work, and he sent them over to them, and they just loved them. And then they came out to LA, we met, and we made the records.
Wow.
Did you produce those?
Yeah, those were the first time I was given the opportunity to produce my own stuff, because up until then, a lot of the cuts I've been getting were produced by other producers. Like the song in Top Gun was produced by Giorgio Moroder. So
right.
I love that I had a song produced by Giorgio Moroder.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty
at the
cool.
end of the day, when you compare his version with my demo, I think my demo sounded a little better in terms of production quality. Yeah. And that kept happening. I had a song with Stephanie Mills that George Duke produced.
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure, yes, that was the one.
Yeah.
And George Duke, I love him. He made a great production, and Stephanie sang the hell out of it. But again, my demo had some better qualities to it, I thought. And I think my publisher was recognizing this. I was getting a lot of album tracks and B-sides, but I wasn't getting singles. And so I think it was with 5-star that Alan Molina said, let's play hardball with them. I know I didn't have a track record really as a producer, but he said, let's tell them they can only have the songs if I get to produce it.
Right.
So they were okay with that as long as I got to co-produce it with their dad, Buster Pearson.
Yes.
And I was okay with that because Buster was really cool with me. We had a good time in the studio and everything. And really, I just replicated what was on the demo, the production of the demo.
Right.
Who were you using to record the vocals on the demo?
Oh, local demo singers of the time back in LA, mostly Susie Benson, who was one of the most popular ones. I mean, she sang for Michael Bolton and Diane Warren, and she was like one of the top demo singers in LA at the time.
Yeah. That's cool.
Now, I don't think we ever covered this on the first time you were on. Do you remember the first time you heard your song on the radio, and which one was it?
Oh, I think it was That's a good question. I think it might have been Martika's More Than You Know, because If I Say Yes did not get a lot of play in LA. It wasn't, I listened to Kiss FM, Rick Dees and all that. And I think the first time I heard Rick Dees play one of my songs, it was More Than You Know by Martika.
Okay.
And I remember I was driving down Hollywood Boulevard past the Hollywood Bowl, and that's when it came on. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I heard If I Say Yes, I think it was 98.7 Kiss FM in New York.
Uh-huh.
When I heard it first.
I just remember the video on Video Soul.
Yes.
Oh, with the vampire.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of my friends thought that I had something to do with the video because of the vampire. Because when I was growing up, I was a massive Dark Shadows fan.
Oh. Wow. Oh God, I forget his name too.
Barnabas Collins.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank God for TV Land. I didn't see it the first time. So that's amazing. So now all this from Curtis to Top Gun was not that long of in between from getting from one success to the other.
Well, no, I moved to LA in '81, so it was kind of, it did feel like an eternity. Top Gun was '86, so it did feel like an eternity trying to get around the city and make the connections I was making. I was working for Jay Graydon at the time, so really nothing was happening with me. I was just doing everything for Jay.
Yeah.
But still great breaks in between. I mean, Jay Graydon alone, it's in Kurt Mayfield. These are wonderful things, that happened up until Top.
I had great mentors and great teachers. And it was really nice of Jay, because when I finally got the chance to be a producer of a real record, which was 5 Star, Jay played on that record.
Wow,
I got to record some of it in his studio. He did some engineering. He helped me out with some bass playing and some guitar stuff. So I mean, he was wonderful for me for a first time producer to have Jay Graydon on your record.
Sure. Yeah.
Holy.
He must have been proud, like, to see that growth, and now you're doing it on your own. I'm sure that's part of the reason why he participated in it.
Yeah, well, he was probably pissed. You're on friggin' Top Gun. I mean, that's huge. #1 album.
Yep.
Right?
It was a #1 album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get, because 5 Star, you had more than one song on that album, correct?
Yeah. The first one they heard that they wanted to do was The Slightest Touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to honestly say, it wasn't my favorite song that I've ever written.
Wow.
As a professional songwriter, that's all you do, especially now that I'm living in Nashville. It's a thing. We're like a factory. Every day we're just writing songs and churning them out. So you write songs a lot, and you don't always feel like you've hit the home run every time you step up to play,
Right.
But Slightest Touch, I went to a writing session. I think it was the first time I ever wrote with my partner on that song, Marvin Morrow. And he had an idea for the song. And when it's the first time you're writing with someone, it's like a first date. It's very awkward, and you're trying to feel each other out, and do we like working together and all that. So but Marvin had this idea, and I thought it was okay. It didn't thrill me, but I'm like, let's just get through the day. And so we wrote it. We finished the song, we demoed it up, I gave it to my publisher. Next thing I know, Alan sends it off to 5 Star, and they love it. Who knew? I didn't think that song would ever get cut. I felt it was an okay song. And then I thought, okay, for my first production, I want it to be something that I'm super proud of. I mean, I didn't want this to be my first production, because what if it failed? I might never get to produce again. So I called Marvin, the same guy I wrote that with. I said, I'm going to meet 5 Star in a week. They're flying to LA. Let's get another song ready to play for them at the meeting, and that became If I Say Yes.
Wow. See, that's an example of creating your own opportunities, right?
Yeah. And it was probably, I don't want to say easier, but I can't imagine today being in the music business, finding those opportunities, because I think record labels were probably behind the artists, the songwriters, more than they are today.
Absolutely. A&R people, they had every major songwriter in their Rolodex, if you remember what those are. Clive Davis was like a songwriter's best friend. He would sign artists, and then he would force them to do songs they didn't write. Famously, Barry Manilow didn't like a lot of the songs Clive made him do, but they became hits. career-defining hits, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Clive was a genius at that, and like I said, he was a songwriter's best friend. If you had a great song, you send it to Clive, he would find an artist for it.
Yeah. So now you have obviously worked with Celine Dion, and that had to be incredible. Now, have you ever had an artist ask you to tailor a song to them?
Usually only when I'm writing with the artist, like
Okay.
Kylie Minogue.
Oh,
Well, you know, Kylie came over, and the idea was for her to write with me. She hadn't written any of her songs on the
Okay.
first 2 albums.
Yeah.
That was all Stock Aitken Waterman.
Mhm.
And so when I got to meet her, the whole concept was she wanted to break away from that whole tell me what to sing and how to sing it.
right.
You know, she wanted to have a voice in the material she was doing.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I had the chorus of The World Still Turns already figured out, and I played it for her, and I said, finish this with me.
Yeah.
Let's turn this into a song. And that's how that happened. So I think more so when you're writing with the artist, you get to tailor make the song for the artist. But a lot of times when you're just shooting in the dark, you have a writing session with some songwriters, you're
Mhm.
looking at a tip sheet from publishers that says who's looking for songs right now. And it's if it says like, I don't know, Madonna or something like that, you're like, okay, let's try and write a song for Madonna.
Yeah.
And if you're aiming that high,
Yeah.
you know you're going to write a good song. Whether Madonna records it or not, it's going to be a good song. So somebody else will record it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, because I think we spoke about that on the last episode, where you think of songs that you are writing, and then this would be great for this artist, or that would be great for that artist, and I
Yes.
think that worked out for somebody. I don't.
Well,
remember,
90% of the time, you never get the artist you're shooting for.
but I know you've had that wish list we
Yes.
spoke about in the past.
Yes.
Now, is there anyone on that wish list that you still are dying to get to sing one of your songs?
Oh wow, it's just gonna sound like I'm cherry picking from the top, but obviously, you know, anyone from Taylor Swift to Elton John, I'd like to.
Or I
You
can
know-
actually see Kelly Clarkson doing something that
Oh,
you've written as well.
Anybody who's a really great singer, I'd love to work with them. Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson.
Ah.
I mean, come on. I mean,
They're still out there. That's for me. I love female singers, and I just miss the belters, which the charts were filled with back in the 70s and the 80s, and
absolutely.
the 90s as well.
I guess I love female singers too, because most of my cuts have been with female artists. I mean, I've had a few with some male artists. I've had, worked with Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block. And of course,
Yeah.
I produced Peter Allen's last album.
Yes.
Yeah, mostly I've been gearing my stuff towards female artists. I don't know why.
I just think it's the delivery. I don't know. I've always been on female singers. I think it's they can go high, they can go low, they can belt, they can whisper. They have so many different emotions when they're singing. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I did have a minor sized hit last year with an artist named Dan Call, which is one of my favorites, a song called Drug Like You.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun song that we did together a couple of years ago.
And that was from your time in Nashville, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of the first songs I did in Nashville, and it ended up Dan released it as a single off his last album, and it sort of charted like mid-chart somewhere.
Fabulous.
With all the successes, people sometimes don't realize how many disappointments there are. How many times you hear, you get excited about something and then it doesn't come to fruition.
Perhaps
Obviously,
the biggest disappointment I probably had was the Sheena Easton debacle.
yeah,
Having 2 songs on the Shockwave album,
right.
and then have it never be released until this year.
Yeah, and it
like
was
40 years later.
Yes.
It was very unusual at that time for any songwriter to get 2 songs placed on a Sheena Easton album.
Yeah.
I think it only happened one other time in her career where, and so how does that come into fruition? How do you get
that whole
2
thing?
songs?
That was a double disappointment for me, because I wanted to produce Sheena. I didn't produce those. Nick Martinelli produced them, which ironically, Nick Martinelli produced the first 5-star album.
That's right.
So I'm now producing 5-star, and Sheena's having my songs produced for her by Nick Martinelli. It never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. That's
And then when I had a song with Expose, I had I Wish the Phone Would Ring, their single, that song.
yes.
And it was funny because at the time I was working for Clive as a producer. I was producing an artist that he had just signed by the name of Keedy. And he just hired me to produce that album. I didn't write any of the songs, which was weird because I became a producer out of being a songwriter. And now Clive's hiring me to produce an artist, and I'm not writing any of the songs, but I give him a song for Expose, and he gives it to Expose, but has someone else produce it. So I never really understood any of the rationale behind all this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's even picking singles too. Like sometimes I don't understand the single choices either.
Yeah.
You know?
But I definitely think with Expose, my production would have made that a much bigger record than it was.
Do you think you could do it now?
Talk about the
call them up.
I wouldn't write that song now because it's so dated. Nobody has phone. Nobody wishes the phone would ring. You have an iPhone and it rings all the time.
Yeah, it does. It's always the wrong people, Michael. Always the wrong one.
There was an interesting story about the Debbie Harry song that
another disappointment. Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
It's hard to claim that I'm disappointed with that though, publicly, because I'm such good friends with E.G. Daily and I love her to death. And she really saved the day on that. But, you know, in my heart, I wanted Debbie Harry. And Debbie Harry sang that song. I got a copy of it on a cassette. I cherished it my whole life. Finally, it's all over the internet. It's been leaked, bootlegged, whatever. But her version has never been officially released. But Stock Aitken Waterman producing Debbie Harry singing my song Mind Over Matter was like the ultimate. It was like the
for a movie
biggest career high.
Right?
It was for the movie Summer School. And then there was some issue with her label about giving singles rights and blah, 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 because the Summer School soundtrack was coming out on Chrysalis, which was her previous label. She'd just gone over to Geffen. And so that was an issue. They didn't want a Debbie Harry single coming out on Chrysalis when she just signed to Geffen. So they wouldn't let her do it. And it's after she recorded it. So E.G. Daily came to the rescue. She flew down to London, went in with Stock Aitken Waterman, and replaced all of Debbie Harry's vocals, except the background vocals. Debbie Harry is still singing background vocals on E.G.'s version. Wow. So in a way, I got that part of it released. You know?
Yeah.
And you're right, E.J. Daily. I mean, what a vocalist!
Oh, I love her to death. We're still friends to this day. She came to Nashville a couple years ago. We wrote some new songs together. She's great.
Yeah.
And you're celebrating, speaking of Kylie Minogue, you're celebrating the 35th anniversary of Rhythm of Love, right?
It's hard to believe it's been 35 years, but the 35th year anniversary this year of her Rhythm of Love album, her third album, which I thought was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because I have one song on it. The whole album, I couldn't stop listening to it.
She's just a force. Even the music she's putting out today is just fabulous.
Yeah.
And you got to work with Kylie too. Jesus Christmas. I can't even make a list. Well, Chris, but there you go. So Sheena Easton, let's go into that, because when you were on the show 5 years ago, Anything Can Happen came out on the first.
And there it is.
Re-release.
The definitive singles.
Yes. And what a great song.
Thank you.
Honestly, the vocals, the writing, everything about it, the production. Now there's another track, and it was released on Strut, the Volume 2 collection for Sheena Easton. Tell us how it was when you heard the song being recorded by Sheena, when you got the final product back.
Well, I was a huge Sheena Easton fan, so part of me was so up and giddy and just I loved hearing her sing a song I wrote.
Right.
But the other part of me, the producer part of me, was like, I really don't like how this is produced.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in the production. I think her version of Rhythm of Romance was over 5 minutes. I'm like, you can't have a single if it's over 5 minutes. So this is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was disappointed, but and then I was doubly disappointed that they weren't going to release the album. So
yeah.
But I really wanted to produce those. I had already become a producer, and I just don't know why that didn't happen.
So there was some frustration, especially Anything Can Happen. It was obvious it was prepared to be a single because they did a single edit, a 12-inch.
And I didn't mind that production. I thought it was cool. I actually liked that record.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were talking about the Rhythm of Romance, but, you know, the Rhythm of Romance had been cut. I think Sheena did it first, but then 3 other artists released it.
Yeah, Lulu did a version.
Lulu did a version of it. Glenn Goldsmith and Ronnie Laws, the jazz singer here. So, it had an interesting life, but
Yeah. Well, ultimately the vocals were just, I mean, anything can happen. Just the way she used to belt with
yeah.
all the confidence. It's just, I can
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
the
Oh,
joy you had having
yeah.
her recorded, you know?
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Tell me about the Martika song. How does that Toy Soldiers? How do you wind up writing that, and how did that come about? Because would you say that's your most known song of all the songs that you've written?
Yeah, and ironically, I think it's mostly known because of what Eminem did with it.
Right.
I mean, funny enough, the Eminem version sold more than the Martika version in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what a hit for Martika. Oof.
Yeah, and that was a great moment for all of us. I mean, I was very proud of that because what we were doing when I discovered Martika and I was developing her, and I did everything. I did all the demos. I shopped her record deal, blah blah blah. So we were trying at the time to compete with all of those female artists who were getting signed doing pop dance records like Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and Paula Abdul and all that stuff. That was the type of artist that I think Martika was evolving into. And so that was the kind of record we thought we were going to make. But while we got deep into doing that, all the dance pop demos and everything and shopping the deal, it occurred to me that maybe to make Martika stand out a little more, we needed something with a little darker edge to it, something that proved that she wasn't just like a fluffy pop female chick songwriter.
Right.
She could actually do darker stuff. So I don't know. I came up with this idea. And again, I always come up with choruses like I did with The World Still Turns.
Yeah.
I come up with the chorus and I have no idea what to do with the rest of the song. And I don't know what it even means. What does Toy Soldiers mean? It was just a weird chorus. So I sang it to Martika, and to her, she was dealing with a friend or a relative, I forget which, who was having a really bad issue with drugs and drug addiction. And that's what it meant to her. And so we sort of wrote the verses. We kept it ambiguous, but we wrote the verses to be kind of like about addiction.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that Martika is singing to a person, but when those lyrics in the first verse, the you that she's singing about, the you is actually the addiction. It's very abstract, she's singing to the drugs or whatever she's addicted to.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you get an outline of what the song was about, but even for the time when you look at the songs that were on the charts, that one stood out. It was so original.
Yeah,
just
that's the line. That now I remember the line. She goes, "I know I extended the invitation, but I never knew how long you'd stay."
Right.
The you is the addiction.
Yep. Yeah. Wow.
So, and most people don't get that, but that's
deep.
No, well, that's the beauty of art, right?
We were very proud of that. Yeah. And then the other problem I had with that song was her vocals, because she's such her personality is so cheerful and so bubbly and everything. She came off that show Kids Incorporated on the Disney Channel. Yep. So, and we've been cutting all these pop dance songs in the studio. So she was singing it like it was, she was having a good time, like she was having too much fun. And I'm like, it wasn't communicating what it needed to communicate. So what I ended up doing, and I'm very proud of this, we decided to cut the vocals for Toy Soldiers at midnight. And she came to the studio at midnight, and the whole studio was lit up with just candlelight. So there was candles surrounding the microphones and everything. And that's what gave her the mood and the vibe that she got when she recorded the vocal.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dark kind of like, vision for her. Yeah, that's
yeah.
It was an incredible song.
And how did you come up with the idea with the children's choir? Because I think that was something too that made that song stand out. It was like this dark song, and then these kids come in and sing background vocals.
I already told you about my love of vampires, right?
Yeah.
So there was a movie at the time called The Lost Boys about vampires, right?
Yeah.
And there was a song in the movie called Cry Little Sister, and it has a children's choir in it. That's what gave me the idea.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Having a children's choir against this really dark rock track just sounded so cool to me.
It was amazing, yeah.
So Martika just got a bunch, like 16 of her friends, a lot of them from Kids Incorporated. Stacy Ferguson Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh,
She was
yeah,
in the
yeah.
choir when she was 16 years old. She was in the Toy Soldiers choir. So
Wow.
they all came to the studio, and we did the children's choir.
What great stories! It's so incredible. It seriously is. It's just amazing. And also we want to touch base on what's going on today too, Michael, because you also have won the Hollywood Music and Media Award, which was shortly after we spoke. And tell us how that happened. That must have been amazing.
I still don't know how that happened because the songs that we were up against in that category were from bigger, more popular movies. There was a song that was in a Paul Schrader movie. I love Paul Schrader. So I really didn't expect to win. And then they called our name when Tara Stinson opened the envelope and said, I got you from Holiday Twist, Michael. It was unbelievable. I did not expect that. So it was surreal. What can I say?
You were there?
Oh yeah, I was there.
Oh,
I
that's
got up,
cool.
got to do an acceptance speech, like
All
you always
right.
fantasize about when you're watching award shows.
Yeah. Well, you were
Did you
prepared.
fumble it? Did you fumble it, or did you
I
nail
fumbled it. I was not prepared because I did not
Okay.
expect to win.
Yeah.
I was just happy to be there at the ceremony and cheering everybody on. But yeah, so we all got up on stage. Even the director of the film was sitting at our table. She got up on stage, Stephanie Garvin, and so I was like, speechless. I'm trying to say thank you this, thank you that, but finally I just turned to her and I said, "Do you want to say anything?" Because I have no idea what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great when it's unexpected too, because then it's coming from the
Yeah.
heart. Honestly, it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think also too the Josie Awards, right?
The Josie Awards here in Nashville. Yeah, I was nominated twice and didn't win on those. So,
Yeah, but for
I
Songwriter
got.
Achievement Award.
Yeah, it was fun to be able to go to the Grand Ole Opry where they presented the awards, a historic place, and just be part of that whole thing. So that was great.
Michael, what made you make the move to Nashville from LA?
Well, I was always coming to Nashville doing writing trips, commuting from LA, because I have a lot of songwriter friends here, and it just got to the point where I got tired of dealing with LAX. I hate that airport.
Oh, yeah.
And I was here one day writing with my friend Steve Dorff in his house, and I was like, it would just be so great to just have a place here. And he said, move here. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So, I got a friend of mine was a realtor down here. We went around looking for houses, and I just did it. It was kind of impulsive, but I bought a house here.
That's great. Did you take the piano?
What's that?
Did you take the piano?
Yes, I took everything from my Los Angeles house is here.
Good.
Yeah.
It really is an environment that's just, I mean, if you're a songwriter, that's the place to be. There's some places that if you're an actor, that's the place to be. If you're
absolutely. Somebody asked me when I moved if I was retiring, and I'm like, you don't move to Nashville to retire if you're a songwriter.
Right. It's in front of you. Yeah, it's right there.
No, I think I've been doing some of my best work since I've been here. I'm very happy here, and I'm working with some of the greatest writers in the business. They're all here.
Yeah.
Tell us about the change in the industry, because I can imagine that it's only become more competitive. Just because
the change in the industry, it's become just that. It's gone from dollars to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are no more record stores, so people don't purchase physical copies of albums or CDs anymore. So those royalties are gone.
Yeah.
And streaming royalties are a joke.
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel the pain of young songwriters who are trying to first make a living writing songs. I don't know how you do it if you're just starting out now.
Yeah.
I'm blessed and I'm lucky to have had a career for 40 years where I made a lot of money, and I've had savings and investments and all that. So, but man, to start out right now, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because people don't realize when you place a song on a Top Gun soundtrack, that could sustain you for months, a year, even just alone on that. And you can, take risks and keep writing, and you don't have to go get a second job. And now today it's not like
and
that.
Your song didn't have to be the single back then.
Right.
I mean, the Celine Dion song I had was Declaration of Love, and that was on her album Falling Into You. And the singles off that album, as you know, were Because You Love Me, It's All Coming Back to Me Now, and All by Myself.
Yeah.
So those 3 singles propelled sales of the album to almost 30 million copies worldwide.
Right.
And every songwriter of every song on that album gets a royalty for 30 million sales.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you wrote the hit or not.
Yeah.
Right.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
No, which explains a lot of people touring. You know,
Yes.
they're touring
Yes.
to push the album. I've never seen, well, the 70s, the 80s, and you probably all remember this, but artists were putting out albums once a year. You
Yeah.
know, and now they're putting them out once every 3 years, and then they're touring to keep legs on the album.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
sad, but this is what they're doing. And I just made $2.50 off my song from last year. I don't know where to go. Oh God. So also, speaking of Stephen Dorff, can you fill us in a little bit on the project you're working with him for a film that's coming out?
Yes, Steve Dorff is scoring a new film. It's about the life of Harvey Brownstone, and he was Canada's first openly gay judge. And he resigned from being a judge and started a very successful talk show on YouTube called Harvey Brownstone Interviews. And he's interviewed some of his heroes and some of very, very famous people, obscure famous people, awkward. I mean, it just the interviews are so hilarious and so funny, and he's created a following from that. And
Okay.
just his life story is just so unusual. David Arquette is playing him in the movie, and Steve Dorff and I got together with my friend Sam Hollander. I don't know if you know Sam Hollander. He's like a huge songwriter. He wrote High Hopes for Panic at the Disco. Yeah, I mean, loads of hits.
Yeah.
So the 3 of us wrote a song together called "Stay Beautiful," which is going to be the title song to this movie about Harvey Brownstone.
Oh, great!
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you back on for that too. Yeah. You know, and hopefully we'll go see the movie.
It should be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you see it before? You know, or
Well, it's still being filmed.
they're
They're still shooting it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
amazing.
I think they wrap next week. They're hoping it'll play at the Toronto Film Festival next year.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for it.
Sure.
We'll be thinking of you too. What a career, Michael. You're still going, but I hate to do this to you, but we're going to play a game. We did this last time, but this one's different. This is called How Quick Will Michael Cave In? Now, you're going to get 5 choices, but you can only cave in to one of them. You don't have to answer to. The first time we're playing this game, Michael, don't let us down.
But what does it mean, cave in?
Maybe you could answer it or you don't have to answer it.
Oh, okay.
So you could cave in and say, I'm not going to answer it.
Oh,
Or
I
you
see.
could-
You're going to ask me
can answer
questions. There's only one
One that
I don't have
you
to
can
answer.
cave into, right? And say, okay, I'm not going to answer this one. I can't. All right, Chris, you start off with the question.
Sure. Name one artist you had to use auto-tune on.
You could cave in if you want, but remember there's 4 others.
All right, this is going to sound crazy. Nancy Kerrigan.
This is just bringing out the Joan Rivers in me.
Yes, believe it or not, after she won the Olympic medal and that whole fiasco, somebody decided it might be a good idea for her to go in the studio with someone and try and make a pop record.
Oh,
I was that guy. I wrote a song for her to sing called "Shining Through," and she was a trooper, man. She knew going in. She said, "I'm not a singer. I've never had any training. Maybe I sing in the shower occasionally, whatever." But she knew she wasn't a singer. And I actually hired a vocal coach to stand side by side next to her at the microphone, and we would work line by line. We'd record line by line. But at the end of the day, I had to do some fixing on the tuning. So yeah.
Well, I'm guilty of that too. I worked with a producer a year ago on a parody song I did for Violins in the Stream. And but the guy knew I was a comedian, so he's in there, and I was like, "Oh boy, you're getting your money's worth today. You're gonna really be sitting there working your butt off."
Well, Today, it's so easy with the software
Yeah,
they have
right.
now. I mean, now,
Oh.
before it was a little more difficult to make it work, but now you got Melodyne. You could isolate a single note on the screen and move it where you want it to go. It's great.
That has to be a plus from 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
How hard you all worked trying to edit and fix things. But I don't think you needed vocally. People were on top of their game back in the day.
You had to be, because before auto-tune, if you couldn't sing, you couldn't get a deal.
All right. Second question, we'll make this one easy because I think we already know the answer. Working with male singers or female singers, if you had to pick?
Female singers.
Okay. That wasn't easy, right? Now comes the big one. Someone difficult in the studio.
Ooh. You mean that I've worked with or that I know about?
That you've worked with. Oh, I will take anything you have to offer.
Difficult in the studio. I'm gonna cave on that one.
Okay.
I just don't like to talk bad about other people,
No, I totally get it. You can whisper it to me and then I'll say it. All right. We know the answer to this one. Nashville or Los Angeles?
Definitely Nashville now. I would have said Los Angeles 10 years ago, but now it's Nashville.
And this one should be so easy, but we're probably not going to expect the answer. Your favorite podcast?
Yours, of course. Loose Lips.
Stop. Oh, I wasn't expecting that one.
I should have caved on that one, right?
That's right. That would have been great.
You should have.
Yeah. You should have been like, I'll tell you it was difficult.
That's bad. You are such an amazing soul, Michael. Thank you for being who you are, your incredible career. Thank you for all the incredible music that you've given me while I was growing up. We're the same age, I'm sure, but just really fabulous.
Well, thank you, Ike, and thank you, Chris.
One of the unsung heroes. When Ike and I were talking about the Sheena Easton songs that never came out, and I said to Ike, I'm just so glad he made it. He made it work regardless. Because I can only imagine how disappointing that is starting out, and then the fact that you just kept going, and within a couple of years, you're having all this success, and so it shows a lot about your character and your talent. So,
and thank God for people like Adam Matera who still put this old stuff out, even though it never got released before.
Sure.
Yeah.
Incredible that with the work that people are doing and how long we had to wait, for it. But
I love that everybody's doing that now. Everybody's releasing stuff from the vaults. It's like a thing to do. Anne Murray just put out a whole album of stuff she never released before.
I know. And her too recently, I believe.
Everybody's doing that. I love that. So these songs that have been cut that never got released may still have a life.
Right.
Well, they got to work on like Olivia Newton-John and Laura Branigan.
Absolutely.
They had. I bet they had a catalog of stuff that hasn't been released.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
But thank you, Michael, again. Anytime you want to come on, please, we would love to have you on.
Oh, thank you, Ike. Thank you, Chris. I love this.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much.
You guys are great.
We're going to wave goodbye now.
Okay.